This video delves into a disturbing case in which every moment was captured on camera. Investigators initially believed the footage would offer straightforward answers, but instead it exposed something far more unsettling. Christina Marie Morris, a 23-year-old graduate of Texas University, was last seen on August 29, 2014, sharing an intimate moment with a casual acquaintance. After that night, she was never seen again. There were no phone calls, no messages, nothing at all. It was as if she vanished without warning. At first, the scene appeared to be nothing more than a casual get-together in a Plano neighborhood. But within 24 hours, the narrative began to unravel. Conflicting accounts emerged, unexplained evidence surfaced, and a man who initially seemed uninvolved was consistently nearby. Christina Marie Morris was born on July 25, 1991, in Allen, Texas. Not long after her birth, her parents, Mark Morris and Johnny Hare, separated. Christina was raised by her father, his wife Anna, and the sisters of her half-brother, while still maintaining a strong and loving relationship with her mother. Later on, Johnny remarried Ronnie, whom Christina happily accepted as part of her family. To her, the family remained whole despite the divorce and the addition of new partners. She graduated from Allen High School in 2009 and went on to earn a bachelor's degree in business and marketing from the University of Texas at Dallas in 2013. After completing college, she joined an online dating service called Great Expectations. Not long after, she transitioned into the photo department, a role that better matched her interests. Around this time, Christina was also considering launching her own clothing line inspired by skater culture. She and Hunter Foster had been friends since childhood, starting out as close friends before later becoming romantically involved. They were the same age. Hunter spent some time in New York pursuing an acting career before eventually returning to Texas. After his return, they lived together in Fort Worth. Christina and Enrique Iroquois had attended the same school, though they didn't know each other personally. The only link between them was Paulina Pawlowski, a mutual acquaintance. Enrique had known Paulina for just a few months, making their encounter at that event purely coincidental. That night, they weren't part of the same close-knit circle of friends. It was Friday, August 29, 2014, and in Texas, the long Labor Day weekend was about to begin. People were heading to parties, meeting up with friends, and staying out late. Earlier that day, Christina had argued with her boyfriend, Hunter Foster, and feeling tense, she decided to change her plans and seek a different environment. Later in the evening, she called her friend Taylor to talk things through. The conversation helped lift her spirits, and she decided she didn't want to spend the night alone. That night, she drove about 45 minutes from Fort Worth to Plano, where a casual gathering of old friends was taking place at a residential complex known as the Shops at Legacy. Paulina Pawlowski organized the gathering, which was simply a relaxed hangout at her home rather than a formal event. Around 9 p.m., the Shops at Legacy, well known for its nightlife, apartments, restaurants, bars, and shops, came alive with activity. That night, the crowd included several people who had attended Allen High School, such as Christina Morris, Paulina Pawlowski, and others from their shared social circle. Most of those present kept their distance from Enrique Iroquois. Witnesses later said he didn't appear interested in Christina at all, instead focusing his attention on Sabrina Boss. He attempted to sit beside her but was rejected, an interaction that reportedly left him visibly upset. Others noticed the tension, though it never escalated to the point of a confrontation. Around 11 p.m., the group decided not to stay at the apartment and chose to go out instead. They first stopped at Ringo's Tavern, where they had a drink, and then moved on to Scruffy Duffy's, a nearby pub. Surveillance footage shows Christina entering Scruffy Duffy's just after 12:30 a.m., with her ID scanned at the door. Bank records later confirmed she purchased drinks at 12:35 a.m. Security cameras captured Christina walking along the street between bars with Paulina, Sabrina, and Enrique throughout the night. She didn't drink much, as she planned to drive home. Still shaken by her earlier argument with her boyfriend, Hunter, her mood shifted at times, quiet for stretches, then suddenly more talkative. However, no one around her felt that her behavior was out of the ordinary. Everyone eventually returned to Paulina's apartment, where the atmosphere became more relaxed after the bars closed. Although most of the guests were intoxicated, Christina remained relatively composed. At one point, the mood shifted again when Enrique loudly announced he was leaving, still upset about being rejected by Sabrina. He gathered his belongings, briefly looked into Sabrina's room, and then left the apartment. Several people later confirmed this sequence of events. As the night continued, Christina began texting Hunter. At 2:12 a.m., she asked if he could come pick her up, explaining that she had lost her keys. Her messages grew increasingly emotional. Hunter, however, was not nearby and was in downtown Dallas. Christina continued reaching out to him for another hour and a half. She told him she wasn't angry, only upset, and mentioned that her phone battery was nearly dead. Initially, she planned to stay at Paulina's place, but she changed her mind after finding her keys. Her final message was sent at 3:48 a.m., in which she apologized and said she hoped Hunter was okay. Geolocation data later showed that both Christina's and Enrique's phones were in the same general area during that time. After that point, Christina's phone signal disappeared entirely, while Enrique's continued to move and was later detected in other parts of the city. There were no signs at that moment of aggression or unusual behavior. On the surface, it appeared to be an ordinary night out continuing into the early morning hours. Around 3:50 a.m., security cameras at the apartment complex captured Christina Morris and Enrique Aroki walking together toward the parking lot, where Enrique claimed both of their cars were parked. The footage showed no signs of conflict, tension, or aggression. They walked at a steady pace, never stopping or deviating from their path, and the street lighting made their figures and movements clearly visible. Christina and Enrique appeared to be heading in the same direction, staying close together as they moved. After some time, Enrique stated that his Chevy Camaro was parked next to Christina's Toyota Corolla, which aligned with the route captured on camera. The footage was brief before both moved out of view. At 3:55 a.m., an 8-second clip from another camera showed Christina walking slightly behind Enrique through a different section of the parking lot. This was the final time Christina was seen on surveillance, and she did not appear in any other footage from the area. At 3:58 a.m., a dark-colored Chevrolet Camaro was captured leaving the building. It was later confirmed to belong to Enrique Aroki. The footage shows his car departing at that time, while Christina's Toyota Corolla remained parked and did not move in the following days. Eventually, her car was found exactly where she had left it the night she disappeared. Police reviewed recordings from multiple angles but found no evidence of Christina entering any vehicle, including Enrique's Camaro. There was also no indication that she left the parking lot on foot. She was never seen heading toward any exit on the cameras. Based on this, investigators concluded that Christina most likely went missing either somewhere between the apartment and the parking lot or within the lot itself, as there was no footage showing her movement from that point onward. All other potential routes were eliminated. Police obtained a warrant to search Christina's Toyota Corolla. The car was still locked, in good working condition, and showed no signs of damage or forced entry. Technicians inspected the interior, but none of Christina's belongings were inside. Her purse, ID, phone, and other personal items she normally carried were missing. This suggested that she had not returned to her car after leaving the party. Later, her car keys were found among her belongings at the apartment, confirming that she had intended to drive home. There were no indications of a struggle around the car, on the ground, in the parking lot, or near any other vehicles. There were no scratches, broken mirrors, scattered belongings, or tracks indicating any unusual activity. From all observations, nothing significant occurred near the car. It remained untouched for 3 days until Christina's concerned father reported her missing to the police. Once the missing person report was filed, the search intensified. Investigators sought anyone who might have seen what happened in the parking lot on the night of August 29th to 30th, but neither visitors nor residents of the complex came forward with useful information regarding Christina's presence that night. A thorough review of additional security footage from entrances, exits, and walkways provided no further clues about her movements after the last known sighting. Every piece of video evidence pointed to the same conclusion. Enrique Orochi was the last person seen with Cristina. At the time, the seriousness of her disappearance was not fully recognized, as those at the gathering assumed she had simply left and gone home on her own. Investigators noted that her boyfriend, Hunter, also didn't take immediate action in the hours following her disappearance. He didn't call 911 or contact any nearby hospitals. A more organized search for Cristina only began after several days had passed without her returning home or checking in with friends. By that time, her car was still parked where she had left it, prompting a full-scale search. Cristina didn't show up for work on September 1st, and her prolonged silence was the first clear indication that something was wrong. Her father, Mark Morris, began contacting her friends and acquaintances to gather information. He soon learned that Cristina wasn't at home as expected and that no one knew her whereabouts. Taking matters into his own hands, Mark drove to the apartment building where the party had taken place. He knew the location and began investigating on his own. On September 2nd, 3 days after Cristina was last seen or heard from, a formal missing person report was filed, and the police went to the apartment complex that same day to begin their investigation. Officers started interviewing attendees of the gathering. Paulina confirmed that Cristina and Enrique had left the apartment together. Next, it was time to question Enrique Orochi. He claimed he didn't remember much about that night due to drinking and drug use. He stated that he and Cristina had left together but eventually separated, with Cristina going her own way. This account directly contradicted the surveillance footage, which clearly showed both of them walking toward the parking lot together before disappearing into an area not covered by cameras. By the evening of September 2nd, the investigation had intensified. Police began examining Cristina's friends and family more closely and started reviewing digital records. Once it was confirmed that Cristina Morris was missing, detectives focused on reconstructing the hours leading up to her disappearance. Determining who was last seen with her quickly became the top priority. Enrique Orochi was questioned early in the investigation. Initially, it was a routine conversation, but inconsistencies in his story and behavior drew closer scrutiny. He admitted that he had seen Cristina that night and that they both attended the party hosted by their mutual friend, Paulina Pulowski. He claimed they left together around the same time and walked off together. After that, his story began to fall apart. Enrique claimed he had been under the influence, drinking, smoking marijuana, and taking Adderall, which he said made it difficult to remember events. He admitted having trouble recalling what happened after they left the apartment. During questioning, he stated that Cristina had turned and gone in a different direction while he continued toward his car. He insisted that was the last time he saw her. Investigators quickly noticed gaps and inconsistencies in his account. He could not provide clear details about when they left the party, how long they walked together, where Cristina supposedly went, or how far apart they were when they separated. Reviewing security footage from the area around the gathering revealed that Enrique's version of events did not align with the evidence. His car was the last to leave the parking lot, and Cristina had been seen with him just before that. There was no evidence that she went in a different direction or left on her own, casting serious doubt on his version of events. Investigators also noticed marks on Enrique that appeared to be bite-related, including fresh cuts, bruises, and what resembled an actual bite mark. When questioned about these injuries, Enrique struggled to provide a consistent explanation. Initially, he claimed that while working on his car, a piece of the frame had fallen on him. Later, he suggested he might have hurt his hand in a fit of anger while hitting the car. At one point, he vaguely mentioned the possibility of being in a fight but refused to clarify where it happened or with whom. Detectives suspected he was concealing something, as he kept giving contradictory accounts and refused to provide clear answers. They requested that Enrique hand over his car for inspection, but he declined, saying he needed it for work the next day. This refusal heightened their concerns, especially since his car had been the last to leave the parking lot the night Cristina disappeared. Shortly after, a search warrant was issued, and police conducted a thorough examination of Enrique's car. They focused particularly on the interior, including the trunk and back seats. Investigators noted it was highly unusual for areas where dirt and debris typically accumulate to be so meticulously clean. This level of cleaning suggested that someone might have been trying to remove evidence or traces. No dirt, hair, or debris was found anywhere else in the car. Forensic experts noted this as a potential indicator of an attempt to conceal a crime. Investigators also discovered that Enrique was scheduled to start work at 8 a.m., but he didn't arrive until nearly 11 a.m., the morning after Cristina went missing. Co-workers observed that he appeared exhausted, irritable, and moved with difficulty. Some noticed he was walking stiffly and complained of rib pain. His behavior that day was unusual and out of character for him, with some co-workers commenting that he seemed like he had endured a rough night. This raised further questions. What exactly occurred between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m.? Investigators also questioned why Enrique hadn't made it to work on time. They became increasingly convinced that they needed to examine his actions during the early hours of that morning. Due to his injuries, unusual behavior, and inconsistent statements, Enrique Aroki, though not yet officially a suspect, was already under close police scrutiny. After Cristina's disappearance, authorities continued reviewing surveillance footage, analyzing phone records, interviewing witnesses, and monitoring his behavior. The discrepancies between Enrique's account and the evidence grew with each new discovery. Police launched a full-scale forensic examination of all available data, including a meticulous inspection of the trunk of Enrique's car by forensic experts. Luminol testing revealed traces of biological fluids that were invisible to the naked eye. Samples were collected and sent to a lab for DNA analysis, and the results were pivotal. Multiple areas of the trunk, including the rugs, rubber seals, and interior lining, contained DNA matching Cristina Morris. The samples included both blood and saliva. Experts concluded that these traces could not have resulted from a chance encounter, and there was no possibility of cross-contamination or secondary transfer. With mounting evidence, police made an arrest. Enrique Aroki was taken into custody at his home on December 13, 2014, 3.5 months after Cristina went missing, and was formally charged with kidnapping with a dangerous weapon. The bail was set at $1 million, and at that time, Cristina's whereabouts remained unknown. In September 2016, the trial began in Collin County, Texas. Enrique Aroki faced charges of aggravated kidnapping, even though Cristina's body had not been recovered. The case relied entirely on circumstantial evidence, as there was no confirmed crime scene, no established method, and no physical object that the prosecution could present. The prosecution introduced 351 exhibits, including surveillance footage, cell phone records, and forensic analyses. 73 witnesses provided testimony. The case was structured around a written timeline of Cristina's final known movements. A critical piece of evidence came from a forensic report on Enrique's phone, which raised concerns when videos and photos were discovered on the device. Some of the files contained sexually violent content. The defense sought to have this evidence excluded, arguing it was irrelevant. The court limited how the material could be used, but allowed it to provide context about the defendant's personality. Investigators also found an unusual item in Enrique's home: a handwritten note in a glass jar that appeared to be part of a ritual. The note included words and phrases about dominance and control, resembling instructions often found on online forums. Although investigators considered it potentially relevant, the court ultimately removed it from the official evidence list. During the hearings, Enrique appeared emotionally detached, declined to answer most questions, maintained his innocence, and denied any involvement in Cristina's disappearance. His lawyers argued that the evidence was weak and questioned the DNA findings. They attempted to shift suspicion onto Hunter Foster, claiming that he and Cristina had a personal dispute, but they could not substantiate this. On September 20, 2016, the judge found Enrique Aroki guilty of criminal kidnapping and sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The verdict was read aloud to Cristina's family. Her mother, Johnny Hare, broke down in tears, while Enrique showed no emotion as he was taken to a Texas state prison. Cristina's family never stopped searching for her, and even after his conviction, the absence of her remains left a sense of incompleteness. The case did not feel resolved until Christina was ultimately found. Ronnie Hare, Johnny Hare, her husband, and others continued assisting with the search. Numerous volunteer teams were organized, composed of friends, neighbors, and members of the Collin County community. Searches extended to rural areas, parks, and wooded regions. Tim Miller, founder of the nonprofit Texas EquuSearch, played a central role in the effort. He joined after meeting Christina's mother in person. The team employed thermal cameras, drones, scent tracking dogs, and specialized equipment for searching in water. Alongside these search efforts, Christina's family launched a public awareness campaign to keep her name in the spotlight. Memorial events, social media pages, and handouts were distributed during interviews, with her mother, Johnny Hare, repeatedly emphasizing the importance of keeping Christina in the public eye. "We won't stop until we bring Christina home, no matter what it takes," her family said. Her father, Mark Morris, stayed out of the public spotlight but continued coordinating the search from elsewhere in Collin County. He hired private investigators and digital forensics experts. The family also kept a close watch on Enrique Iroquois, hoping that, with a life sentence in place, he might eventually reveal the location of Christina's body. Legal efforts were also ongoing. The family's attorneys filed motions seeking access to materials that had not been presented in court, arguing that the public and the family needed more information about what Iroquois did in the hours after Christina disappeared. Despite the passage of time, the family continued organizing search efforts near the city of Allen, an area police had identified as a potential key location. They focused on locations where Enrique's car had been stopped on August 30th, 2014. The search continued in the mornings, even without active police involvement, because the family believed the case had reached a dead end. On March 7, 2018, utility workers